What an amazing event, I have to admit. I love Bratislava. I've been here 10 times, I think, so we're really brothers for real now. So, I mean, I really love it here. If you watch the movie Eurotrip, it doesn't give the right picture. I have to admit, it's more fun here in Bratislava than those Americans believe. So I will speak about how to make your audience love you. Does that sound okay? Does that sound okay? Good, because it's the only presentation I have here today. So, I believe in a digital landscape where we're not screaming like we're on Times Square, where we have brands and companies that are focusing on engagement. I believe in a digital climate where audiences love you. I believe that we right now are in front of a major shift. As Philip said, my name is Henric Smolak. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer and has been with Strossle since the start. I also host, as was mentioned here earlier, one of the biggest tech podcasts in Sweden. So I have the pleasure to interview 30 of the most prominent experts in Sweden on these type of subjects. And I will begin today's presentation by giving you 3 reasons to why we have a catastrophic digital climate today, especially in the media and advertising industry. 3 things that we got completely wrong. So let's start. First thing first. Do anyone know the difference between digitization and digitalization? There's a big difference. Digitization is when you take something offline and just copy it online. So if we take the music industry, for instance, you could say that when the music labels and the ones selling, the physical CDs, they understood that internet came along and we needed to be able to sell the physical CDs online. That's when you digitized it. What they didn't understand was that internet and the digital era had changed the whole way we wanted to consume music. We did no longer want to buy physical CDs. We wanted to buy and create our own playlists, no longer physical albums. We wanted to be able to share it and store the music on various devices, not on a physical CD. Who understood this? Napster understood this. It was a revolution telling the industry that something is wrong. Something is wrong in the music industry. And the ones later who understood how to digitalize the music industry in a clever way was iTunes and Spotify, which has now become, great success stories. And why am I telling you this? Because if there's one industry in the world who has just been digitized and not digitalized, it's our industry. It's the media and it's the advertising industry. We've been copying formats, KPIs, metrics, just as we did offline, online. So we need to adapt for a sustainable future. That is first thing first. There's a revolution going on. We need to join that revolution. The same revolution as Napster did for the music industry, ad blockers are telling us in this room about the communication strategies around the web and the way we advertise today. We need to join the revolution. How many in here has an ad blocker installed? Raise your hands, please, and be honest. Are you kidding me? A little bit more hands, I guess, no? Maybe around 30-40%. It's the same numbers in the Nordic countries, 30 to 40, it's actually 45% now in the Nordic countries. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that 70% out of those 45% is under 30 years old. 70%. I don't hear anyone talking about that it's almost impossible in the Nordic countries to reach a younger population through traditional formats, through these communicational strategies as we use today. This revolution will continue to grow and will just develop itself if we don't do anything about it. And if we don't do anything about it, it will strangle our businesses and our way to communicate sooner or later. So it's just a matter of time. That's my take. The third thing is about an acronym that makes my stomach go upside down and inside out. And it's called GDPR. I know you're sick and tired of speaking about GDPR, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's regulatory, so all of this is upcoming. And I believe that we got the effects of GDPR completely wrong. I spoke with the agency last week, and he knows what I believe about this. And he told me, Henric, it's 25th of May, and programmatic is still running, yay! And I'm like, that's not what I meant. These effects will happen sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. Because GDPR itself is just a regulatory. Even though it won't be some regulators to try to change the way we operate with data, even though it won't be an initiative itself from the industry, the power will come from the users themselves. Because now they understand what's been going on in this wild Western industry that we're in. We've been using the lack of digital competence in the world to capitalize on data. We've been using it to sell, resell, target, retarget. You enter an e-commerce store and they follow you around all over the web. You can't buy Christmas presents anymore because then your spouse or whoever will see exactly where you went and bought stuff. No one wants it, no one likes it, but still we do it. I don't understand. And we need to be and adapt for this new type of era. So what can we do? Of course, there's a solution. Just as there's a solution for AdBlock. If we were qualitative, if we were engaging, there would be no reason to block us. If we would be able to show the value we give in return for taking their data by giving them a better experience, the users, our potential clients, they would give it away. No one questions Netflix for saving our data to give us a better user experience. I promise you, if we in the future can allow users to get a better experience to give away their data, they will. That's my take, and I hope you agree. Do you know this kid? How many in here knows this guy? Good, some of you. He's the latest overnight sensation. His name is Mason Ramsey, an 11-year-old old boy from southern Illinois in the US. I love how he looks. Someone, when I went through the slides before, it was, is it you? No, it's not me. It doesn't even look like, I hope, but with his bow tie, is very characteristic. And what he did was that he loved performing music in front of people. He just loved it so much, but he couldn't find a spot in his small village where he was from with 700 people. So he had to go to the closest Walmart to perform. He went into this Walmart, he stood there with his guitar and looked basically like this, and he performed the classic yodeling song. Girl, I won't even try. What he didn't know was that somebody was going to bring up his cell phone and start recording him. 1.5 weeks later, after this clip of this little kid playing in a Walmart in southern Illinois, 1.5 weeks later, the video had estimated to have been viewed 700 million times. He had 1.5 weeks after this video clip was published, 2 million followers on his Instagram account. Going from being completely unknown to be a world star in 1.5 weeks. And this turned out to be the best potential campaign for Walmart. Let me show you a small video clip just so you understand which big of a rock star he is right now. When he performed 2 weeks after this clip was published at Coachella, which is one of the biggest festivals in the world. That is the power of engagement. That is what you can obtain with the power of engagement. And I believe after this video went completely viral that Walmart are right now looking into their communicational strategies. They need to focus more on engagement. As Paul said before, old millions of dollars investing in TV commercials and being top of mind in exclusive matters doesn't work anymore. They need to facilitate on stories, just as the former speakers were saying. They need to facilitate on quality and engagement. Engagement is the new black. So it's not that crazy that Walmart now have hired an 11-year-old boy, Mason, to become their brand ambassador and go around all over the US and perform concerts together with Walmart. If you engage, you get likes, you get shares, and eventually you get loved. So start with engagement. A big trend as well, we spoke a little about it today as well, is that we're living in a community kind of era. As Anna said earlier, she said that anyone can become a publisher. Anybody can become a voice today. We're talking about tribalization. People want to be a part of a tribe. We've seen, Instagrammers, bloggers, vloggers, YouTubers, anyone can become a voice and own their community and the communication online, even brands. I know it's a little bit, that I take Red Bull as an example, but still. Red Bull estimates next year in 2019 that they're going to make more money on their community, on their media house, than they do on selling energy drinks. No one questions Red Bull for being the most prominent broadcaster and publisher within extreme sports. No one. No one will question you online if you bring them the best valuable content and gives the best added value to their user experience. You can even see now that we have a lot of companies going community first. They want to build up a community before they start selling products and services. Because by building up a community first, you are able to communicate with them directly and can create products with them. Do you think it's just, a coincidence that two of the biggest brands, Bonnier, who we heard here earlier, and Schibsted, which Paul spoke about before, how dare the biggest, corporate empires in Sweden and Norway they are originally just a publishing house. Because publishers understand the value of traffic. A publisher is a community. They're basically the best one working with content marketing, even though they have an independent journalistic value. They know how to facilitate on a community. Me, myself, I have one of the biggest cat communities in Sweden. It's called the Cat Bible. Check it out. I have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of crazy cat-loving people that are screaming for cat-related content. And I actually tried it out because I wanted to come here with a case. So I wanted to prove to you all that I could, start the business together with them, because today I just drive traffic to a site and monetize it as publishers with advertisement. So what I did was I started asking questions to them. I asked them, what kind of cups do you like? What kind of motive do you want in it? What kind of food would you like? I hate cats, by the way, so I don't know anything about cats. I don't hate cats, but I don't like them. So I could start developing products together with them. And now I'm actually going to start selling merchandise. I hired a person to do that for me on just my cat community. If you own the community, that is a very, very good start. So what can we do? What can we do to move away from all of these trends, become more qualitative, adapt, go away from a Times Square and become more transparent in this digital era? We need to go away and adapt. We need to go from a push marketing strategy where we've been, shoving down messages on the users, only focusing about direct sales and sales numbers going up. And we need to stop interrupting the media experience. We need to move towards a pull strategy, where we become the media itself, where we give quality, where we get engagement, where we add value to the experience. And that is where content marketing comes in as a handy strategy. And I don't even like calling it content marketing, because if you speak about content marketing, it refers to that you have to do something that is related to content. I love to call it engagement marketing, because you should focus on engagement first. You should think instead of inside out, which is quite a stupid way of thinking. What do I want to tell my people? You should say outside in. What can I tell my people that will engage them? It's a different approach, and it's a different era. If you think about it, it's just like dating. If you go on a date, you can't only speak about yourself. You can't only, go there and go straight for the direct conversions. You need to go there and find some good qualitative topics. You need to wine and dine. You need to have a couple of dates. But when the timing is right, you might pop the question. If you make your audiences like you, if you engage them, they will eventually buy from you. That's one thing that is sure. But there's a myth that's been going around that you can create this engaging content, then just publish it, and that's it. It will fly away by itself. But you couldn't be more wrong. It's just like Walt Whitman said, without any great audiences, there's no great poets. You need clever distribution to be able to work with content marketing. It's the only way. And the best way to work with distribution in a content marketing strategy is, of course, native advertising. Why? Because native advertising, per its very definition, is the only format that allows you of becoming the content on the medium you want to distribute on. It's the only format that allows you to become the media instead of interrupting the media experience. But unfortunately, we see now, since this whole industry is being developed, that we see a lot of clickbaiting, we see a lot of product-oriented shit on landing pages, we see a lot of, basically people and marketeers believing that they work with native distribution just by using the format native. No, 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 no. To work with native, you need to be native behind the native ad itself. You need to work with quality. You need to work with having engagement content behind. That's when you become native. And if you work with this distribution and content marketing strategy in the right way, then you will see results. Because that's a very, very good start to initiate a relationship. I would like to summarize. I was told to be a bit quick, so I will try to summarize quickly. What I'm preaching here is we need to change. We need to do better. We need to make a better experience both for publishers, advertisers, users. We all know it. We just have to do something about it. And I believe that we will win if we're proactive, and the initiative will come from us in the industry, not from the users with the revolution. Become the Napster. Do what's necessary to push the rest of the industry. I know for sure that's what we're trying to do at Strossle. Do that. Let us enrich the media experience for the population instead of destroying it. Let's make our audiences love us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Henric. He has a special ability. He's the only person I know that is able to speak for longer than my wife. So I really appreciate that you just made it quicker so we can have a longer break. I would like to ask you, it was very engaging, a nice presentation. Is this what is happening in Sweden right now? In Slovakia, our experience is that, it's all nice engagement and everything long-term run. But the thing is that in the client side, you have those bosses who are having their own quarterly goals and yearly goals. So then they don't have time very often just to wait for the results. So my question is this taking place in Sweden?
No, this is not taking place in Sweden. That's why I believe this is so important to tell. It's
Mhm.
not like we're in Sweden is in front of this, because the whole industry, if you just think about it, the way we've been working the past decades, for me, who's not been working in the media industry for that long, since I was with and started Strossle, I think it's crazy. The way we work with viewability, the way we work with digital format, the way we measure things today, I mean, that have to change. And the most, I like the fact what you just said. Yeah, is that really the case because the bosses, etc., etc.? No, that's the facts. It's the bosses. It's not maybe the younger generation faults because they want to change things. But that's why, like we heard here before with Niklas, the organizations need to change. We need a new way of thinking. We need a new era which will adapt to a much more qualitative oriented focus to build brands and build businesses and not only focus on direct sales. I can promise you that someone in the crowd here, when I said retargeting, etc., was thinking, but retargeting is very good results. I mean, we can see if I put in 1 krona or €1, I get €2 back. But that's not how you create a relationship by just screaming. I mean, if I go out and scream to 100 people who wants to go home with me, like dating-wise, maybe one will say yes. And maybe that will be efficient. But it doesn't mean that it's a good approach in the longer term.
Okay, thank you.
Short answer.
Yes. Can you please explain engagement exactly? What is it, for example, on that small guy?
Of the small guy.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Can you?
yeah, I understand the question. It's very hard for me to explain engagement since it's like it has a meaning itself. But I mean, to engage someone is to add value to. I believe that is when you add value. So that means that instead of like being, let's say, car manufacturer. No. Let's say another one. Let's say Procter and Gamble. So instead of Procter and Gamble going out and telling their audience which they want to be able to communicate with, which they want to purchase Procter and Gamble products, instead of telling them, listen, here is the new bottle of Yes, and it will blah blah blah. It's 2 times better, etc., etc. That doesn't engage anyone. That's just facts. To be able to engage, I need to look at that audience which want to buy this type of product, which is basically maybe families. Let's say if we categorize them, and then I have look into how can I engage families? How can I create values to add value to the family experience wherever I'm distributing on? How can I do it offline? It's not only digital activities. How can I do it digitally? How can I do it even printed? It doesn't matter. What can you do to add value to their experience? When they find the value, when they want to consume it, when you don't interrupt them with the message, but become the media itself, which they seek attention to, that is when you engage.
Thank you. How do you? Hold on, just a second. There was a speech recently on the local award conference that no big players become successful because of native advertising. Apple, IBM. What do you think about that?
First of all, that's not true. Because native advertising, what people believe is native advertising, is completely wrong as well. Native advertising has nothing to do with being a format within a publisher or being a format with editorial content. Native advertising, per definition, is to be the format, the best potential format within the media that you distribute it on. So if you go on Instagram, for instance, native on Instagram is not the same thing as native within a publisher. And native within a publisher is not the same thing as this event. This event is native advertising for Strossle, I have to admit, because we're here, we want to be the tone of voice of content marketing, we're speaking at a native advertising festival. Even though people wouldn't consider this being native for us, this is the best native commercial for Strossle there is. For me to be able to stand there, for Philip to be the host, this is the way it is. Because we engage you. We even get you to pay. No, I'm joking, but you know what I mean. We engage you. You come here. You want to see the content. You see Strossel. I'm on stage. Philip is on stage. It's fantastic. We give you value. And in return, you will think of us next time. Maybe you think about distribution. Hopefully, you would say that, Strossel, this guy, Henrik, he knows a little bit about this industry. So maybe I should call Philip and etc., do business with him. So with Apple, they didn't use a format that today is called native, but they worked a lot with storytelling. They worked a lot about bringing up, the whole idea with Apple, the whole idea with, beating IBM, which was the monopoly. So they just used a different approach which engaged people back then. That is also a short answer.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Henric Smolak. Yes, please give him an applause.